Hey, what's up? Thought I'd do another quick test drive review. I had done recently a three-car throwdown where I pitted the Comet, the Carbonizare, and the Masacro race car against each other to see what a low-end, mid-range, and high-end sports car would do. And at the time of the making of that video, I thought that the Masacro race car was the most expensive sports car, but it turns out it's this thing, the Vernier, I don't know. I can't pronounce the name. It's some kind of French thing. I'll have to look it up. It might not even be a real word. It's $675,000, so it's stupid expensive. Um, it does have a lot of body upgrades that you can do, like these little venty things in the fenders. Quite a good selection of hoods, although it only changes that center section there where the carbon is. You've actually got like 6 or 7 different options for the front clip, including the vents under the lights. You change those around. I mean, like not, you can't mix it up, but they do change. Put some side skirts on it. It's got a good range of spoiler selections, but they're all weird looking. It's about the most normal looking one I could find. It doesn't look like a tuner surfboard. A couple exhaust options. But I'll tell you one thing, when you buy this car stock, it is hideous. I don't know, maybe some people like it. It looks like a cross between a Nissan. I don't know what that guy's freaking out about, but anyway, it's a bit of a mix between a Nissan 350Z or Z, uh, if you're Canadian like I am, or is it the other way around? I can never remember. Anyway, and the wheels on it, I don't know. I just think, to me personally, I think it's a hideous car. It looks like a mix between a TVR something or other and a Nissan 350Z, and I still can't decide if I like it or not. I don't know. From this angle, it looks good. From this angle, it looks stupid. The front end of the car is way too big for the back end of the car. It's just, I don't know, it just doesn't look right from the side. And from the back, well, the way I've got it now, it looks okay. I don't like the sad, droopy face tail lights. I think they're ridiculous. But, I mean, I guess it's growing on me. I'm starting to like it. But let's get to the important part, which is the drivey bits. I'm going to take this car out on a bad case of the Benz, which is the track I tested the Masacro on. And I'm not going to do a whole bunch of cars, I'm just going to do this one. But at the end of it, I'll post the times from the Comet, the Carbonizare, and the Masacro, and then we'll get a 4-car range from cheapest to most expensive, and see how this thing does compared to the rest of them. So here we go. Most of the time when you upgrade them, the acceleration goes above and beyond what that little graph will show. Anyway, so about driving this car. Well, first off, small displacement V8 engine. It sounds okay. And when you let off, does this lovely growly, burbly noise that I happen to like quite a bit. And it actually sounds, kind of like a high compression small V8. It's just not loud enough, like most of the new cars. But anyway, sound aside and weird looks aside, let's get down to how this car handles. Braking is actually really damn good. It might not stop quite as quickly as the Carbonizare, but the brakes right out of the box, and this car is bone stock except for bloody hell, except for cosmetic looks. Appearance is what I was trying to say. So they're just bone stock brakes. They work really well. A little better than you might expect, actually. You'll find yourself slowing down too much for corners quite a bit when you first get this car. Another good thing about this car is that it's got amazing traction. I've gone flat out in this car through some chicanes and through some long corners that in other cars I had to let off on. In this thing, I might have had to let off the fuel a little bit, but I could get right back on it and be full throttle the whole way through. And even that corner, I had to brake maybe, 10 feet, 20 feet later than I would in any of the other cars, just because I didn't want to go too slow. It's not quite as flighty or as nasty as the Carbonizare. It'll take you right up to the limit, and it will kind of break free suddenly, a little bit like that, but as you can see, it's not as dramatic as the Carbonizare was around that corner, or the Comet for that matter. But that doesn't mean you can't break it free and drift it all right. Well, oh, it, it has a mild tendency to understeer. But it's not too bad. You slam some brakes on and throw the weight forward, it'll go around some pretty sharp bends. And again, like I said, this is stock, so. And part of it, this car feels like it's got a super, I mean, this car does have a super long nose, and it feels like it has a super long nose. It's like almost, I don't know, like you got to turn ahead of time, because by the time the back end of the car gets to the corner, it's I don't know, it's just a little bit strange car to drive. As you can see, I'm having a bit of a hard time getting used to it. But more good points. Top speed seems okay. It seems to have pretty long legs. I haven't really gotten to the top speed yet, I don't think. This is my very first time tracking the car. I've taken it around the map a few times just to get used to it. But one problem I did find free mode with this car is that the hood is so long on this car, and you can't see it from at least this view, that you'll find yourself rear-ending people a lot and catching bumpers and telephone poles when you're trying to cut corners sharp because the front end is so far stuck out. I guess that would be the first bad point about this car, other than the kind of muted engine sound. But other than that, I mean, even around there you can tell it's very planted, very solid. You don't really have to worry about this car reacting badly to kind of maybe a panic input. If all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I gotta stop and change lanes or turn, and like I was very rough with the controls there, and it just did what it wanted to around the corner, you know, or did what I wanted it to around the corner, including there. Although that wall was really hard to avoid. And I mean, yeah, I had to drive it. I was still putting inputs in, brakes, and some gas fluttering, and some stick maneuvering, but this car's not work to drive. It's just a matter of getting used to it. Once you're used to it, I think this car could probably be the best handling car in the game for sports class. And it tops out the Masacro just because it's no more stable than Masacro. Masacro is really stable. It's a little bit quicker to turn in, so you're more able to change directions, and it's less prone to understeering under hard brake or high-speed corners. Unlike the Comet and the Carbonizare, it's more stable. It's got way more consistent grip. A little too much if you're used to the driftiness of those two cars. If you get out of the Comet or the Carbonizare and get into this car, it's going to give you troubles because it's so well planted. Yeah, my first upgrade recommendations for this car: transmission. The brakes are fine out of the box. The speed's good out of the box. I wouldn't worry too much about that stuff right away. I mean, you did spend $675,000 on this car if you bought it, so save your cash. Win a few races. But I would put transmission in it, because first and second gear, like if you have to slow right down, actually I'll just show you. First and second gear are a little bit sluggish. It's not likely to give you a big smoke show or anything like that. It's a little lazy getting going. But only for, you know, maybe the first 2/3 of the rev range for the engine. Once she gets up into high revs and the turbo kicks in, and it kind of behaves typically like a small displacement V8. It likes revving fast. Seeing as how all the cars in GTA are automatic, it doesn't matter really knowing that. It's not like you can change gears. Although, if you find yourself in too low of a gear going up a hill, if you come off the gas and right back on it right quick, quite often the cars will downshift for you. So, yeah, I guess that's about all I got to say about this thing. I think once I get used to it, I'm going to really enjoy racing this car. And as per usual, I'm going to put transmission into first and then brakes. I would like a little bit better brakes. But bone stock out of the box, this car handles kind of like you'd expect a race car to handle. Or at least a trackified sports car. That's not a word, I know, but whatever. So, yeah. We'll give you the times at the end of the video and see what pans out. I'm not going to keep this too long. I'll cut it off probably right after I stop talking here, and then you'll get to see the times. I might do a little bit of cinematic, just so you can get a look at the car from different angles, but I did a good walk around at the beginning, so I feel you're going to stick around for it. It'll only be a minute or two at the end of the video, and I won't be talking during it, so you're not going to learn anything other than what the car looks like from different angles. Enjoy! Well, there you go, 344. The rest of the time's laid out down there, kind of middle of the road. And considering it's the most expensive sports car you can buy, it really is a matter of preference.